All right, guys. Hopefully you had some good time to get some good journaling and things written down there. And hopefully you got your intentions going and you're ready to make it an awesome day today. So I'm excited to get to be with you guys today. And I'm excited to get to share a little bit of a message with you guys. And here's where I want to talk about is ultimately, I want to talk to you about our foundation, the foundation of the company for just a minute and really hit on a couple of key things. And so I want you to think about how are you doing in these different areas of your life and what do you need to work on? How do you need to make some changes? What does that need to look like for you? And so the first thing I want to just talk about here is number one on our company foundation is your purpose or your vision, or you could say your why. Okay. So I want to talk about that for a minute. And here's where I want to say with that is people who have an understanding of their purpose, their vision, or their why, the people who really understand what that is, then it creates for them a very tight life. Meaning the people who don't have a vision or don't have a purpose, they don't understand their why, they live a very loose life. So people who understand their vision will understand and live a very tight life. And that's kind of where I want to talk about is vision creates purpose for us. It gives us that direction. It gets us to headed on that path of where we want to go. Your vision will dictate everything else in your life. Think about it this way. If you were going to be getting in your car and going on a trip somewhere, when you know where you are going, you also automatically, by default, know what roads won't take you there. See, vision gives you your address. If you will think about it that way, think about having vision and a purpose, like you're getting in your car, you're going to be driving somewhere. And as soon as you get in the car and you now know your destination, what happens is you automatically know what roads won't get you there. If you were to use a GPS or use Siri on your phone to get you to a destination, what happens? It starts to tell you how to get to where you want to go. What happens when you make a wrong turn? See, when you make a wrong turn, all of a sudden it comes up and says recalculating, and then it reroutes you to get you back on track again. Think about your vision, your purpose, your why works for you that same way. Once you know where you're going, you will automatically know what roads are not going to get you there. Now, next thing with this, in terms of purpose and vision, when you have that, it makes life very simple. Without it, again, as I said, it's a loose life, or think of it as your life becomes very complicated. When you don't have a purpose, you don't understand your vision or your why, life becomes very complicated because it is then hard to refuse things because you don't know where you're going. See, when you don't know where you're going, any road will potentially get you there. I love the story of Alice in Wonderland. As she is trying to find her way, she comes across the Cheshire Cat, and the cat asks her, or she asked the cat how to get where she needed to go. And he said, well, where are you going? And she said, I don't know. And he said, well, then any road will get you there. I'm paraphrasing that, obviously. But when you don't know where you're headed, any road can get you there. But we have to know that where we're going, because then we automatically know what road won't get you there. See, think of it this way. Too many times we get spread out. You'll hear John talk about that you don't want to be a mile wide and an inch deep. See, we need to go deep on certain things. Basically, think of it this way. When you know where you're going, there is typically one thing you are worried about. Think about successful people. They typically have one thing. In fact, let me ask it to you this way. When someone thinks about you, so follow me on this. When someone thinks about you and they are thinking about you, what is it that they would say about you? So I hope that makes sense. If someone had to think about you and something that reminded them of you, that's probably the way to say it. If somebody was thinking about something that reminded them of you, what would it be? And I'd like you to think about that for a minute of what would it be? If somebody was thinking about something that reminded them of you, what would it be? Well, let me ask you a couple of questions on that. See, if people never think about you, then it means that you haven't made the mark. You haven't created some value with them. So think of it this way. If I ask you to think about Tiger Woods, what do you immediately think about? Golf. If I say to you, think about Michael Phelps, what do you think about? Swimming or the Olympics, right? You think about gold medals when you think about Michael Phelps. How about Michael Jordan? When you think about Michael Jordan, what do you think about? Basketball, champions. When you think about Barbara Streisand, what do you think about? Now, on this one, you may go, some of you may have said singing, some of you may have said acting. Now, look at what she has done. She has created in herself, when you think about her, you are reminded of either singing or you are reminded of her being an actress. See, she has become so valuable in two areas. So ultimately, I guess what I'm saying as I talk about this purpose, the vision, and your why is don't seek success. Stop seeking success. Now, some of you might be like, what? I thought that's what this whole company was about, is being successful. Yes, but don't seek success. Instead, what I want you to do is seek to become a person of value. Now, don't seek success. Instead, you seek to become a person of value. Ultimately, what I'm saying to you, when you understand your purpose, your vision, your why, what will happen is that you make yourself valuable. Now, you stop and think about those people: Tiger Woods, Michael Phelps, Michael Jordan, Barbara Streisand. When you think about them, they became very wealthy because people would pay for them. See, they developed skills in their life that were so valuable that people would pay for them. We were joking up here before we started, me, Rick, and then Mike Hancock. We were joking about it, and Mike made the comment that you can't train somebody on personality, and you can't just say run down to the personality store and go purchase some personality. See, that's not how it happens. Instead, you have to seek to become a person of value. Said another way, you need to develop a gift in your life that becomes so valuable that people will pay you to perform it. See, that's what happened with the Tiger Woods, and Michael Phelps, and Michael Jordan, Barbara Streisand. They developed gifts that were so valuable that you and I would pay them to perform it. Are people paying you to perform your gift for them? That's the question I would like you to think about. Is, have you developed some gifts in your life that are so valuable that people will pay for them? See, so stop seeking success and seek to become a person of value. See, the problem is we can practice and role play all day long, and we should practice and role play. Don't get me wrong. We need to be practicing and role playing. But if at the end of the day, you have not become a person of value, who you are becoming, if you haven't done that, the problem is you show up way before your words do. See, people will feel what your intentions are. They can feel if you have become something of value. And so the most important thing that we can do to develop that personality that we were joking and talking about, which, by the way, I'm not sure if I had my mic muted during all of that. So you may have heard that under the music, but seek to become a person of value. At the end of the day, the reason why you hear John and George and this company talk so much about purpose, vision, and why is because so many people, even though we talk about it, still have not understood that. See, when I talk about saying to you, become a person of value, develop that gift in your life. A lot of times it could be just that one thing. The example I would have of that, as I said, Michael Jordan, I debated on if I would say this one or not, but someone who played basketball with Michael Jordan, and for some reason, I guess my morning ascents are taking on a theme of Detroit for some reason, because last week I talked about Chris Shelton and the Detroit Tigers. Now I'm going to talk about Dennis Rodman for just a minute. I debated on it because he character-wise is probably not a person of value to talk about. But if you think about him in terms of sports, he got paid millions of dollars to play basketball. He ended up on championship teams playing basketball, even though he really was not that good of a basketball player. You guys that understand and have watched the NBA, and if you watched Dennis Rodman at all, he really was not that good of a basketball player. He was kind of clumsy as he would run up and down the court. His shot, when he would shoot the basketball, actually looked very awkward when he would shoot. And I don't know what his shooting percentage was, but I don't think it was very good. But here's what Dennis Rodman did. He understood this thing of develop a talent or a skill that people will pay you to perform. Because what he did is Dennis Rodman developed the skill of rebounding. There was no one better in the NBA. See, because he just looked at and said, what is this skill that I am good at, or that have kind of this natural, a little bit of an ability to do, and he worked on it and developed it. He didn't worry about shooting the ball. He didn't worry too much about defense. I mean, he was an okay defender, but he didn't worry too much about working on those things. Instead, he developed his skill of rebounding. And what he would do, actually, this is interesting to me, is what Dennis Rodman would do is he would go to the court, and maybe it was a good thing he was a bad shot, because he could shoot, and then when he would miss, he paid attention to, based on the arc of the ball and when it hits the rim, where is it going to bounce to? And he would figure out, hey, based on that, this is where I need to be. See, it's the whole idea for him. He developed that same thing as like Wayne Gretzky, of he didn't skate to where the puck was. He would go to where the puck was going to be. Well, that's kind of what Dennis Rodman did. He developed the skill of understanding where the ball would bounce to after it comes off of the rim, and got very good at that. He developed a skill that even though he wasn't that good at basketball, he was on NBA championship teams. See, for you, what are the skills that you need to develop? What are the skills that you need to work on and perfect? And I would recommend for you, the first one to work on is making sure that you develop the skill of setting appointments. Too many times we get on the phone, we get into a conversation, and then we don't ask for an appointment. I have trained for the last number of years, for 15, 16 years coming on now, where I have trained agents on setting appointments. And it has never, ever stopped to amaze me that we can sit and talk about it over and over and over again. And then here's what happens. They go out and they go on and they start into a good conversation, whether it's on the phone, at the door, at an open house, whatever it is. And the person leaves and I say, did you get an appointment? Oh, I forgot to ask. You forgot to ask. How do you forget to ask for an appointment? See, work on that skill of getting good at asking for appointments, because when you get good at that skill of asking for appointments, guess what? You're going to start to get them. Most of the time, the reason people don't get an appointment is because they don't ask. They don't ask for an appointment. Instead, we say things like this. Hey, let me go check that out for you, and then I'll call you back. Instead of saying, hey, totally understand that maybe right now you're not ready, but here's what I have found. When the time comes, would you rather be over-prepared or under-prepared? Well, of course, they would rather be over-prepared. Well, great. Then we need to get together and talk about it. So what would work best for you? See, there's only 5 ways in the English language that you can ask for an appointment. If you don't use one of these 5, you're not asking for an appointment. What time, which time, how soon, when, and where. I'll say it one more time. What time, which time, how soon, when, and where. Now, there are variations on that, like what works better afternoons or evenings. When you say what works better afternoons or evenings, you're essentially saying which time. See, what time, which time, how soon, when, or where. I apologize. I totally just went down a rabbit hole on setting appointments. But I would say it is because if you don't know where you're going, then you get lost in that. We don't ask for the appointment because we don't understand what the purpose of this phone calls that we are making is all about. All right. I said I was going to talk about the foundation, and so far I've spent the whole time talking about one thing. So I'll give you the rest here just quickly. But once we understand this, now we can do our goals, our plan, and put together a schedule. I want to ask you this. Do you really have a schedule? Have you written out your schedule of this is what I'm going to do? See, again, too many times, but this is where, again, when you have a vision of what you are trying to accomplish, you live a very tight life. When you don't, it's very loose. We're all over the place. See, in terms of a schedule, when we don't know where we're going, we won't follow a schedule, because again, it doesn't matter where you're headed. But when you know where you're going, we put together the schedule. I love to hear and talk about Brian Burnett down in St. George, on track to do I don't close to $2 million. I don't know where he's at. I know in the third quarter he did $750,000 in that quarter. So the guy's doing pretty good. Guess what? He follows a schedule. Do you think he understands where he's headed? Do you think he has a vision of where he's going? Absolutely. And when we have that, we then will put together this schedule that we're going to follow. All right. Number 3, mindset. See, vision controls your mindset as well. When you have that purpose, that vision, it will decide for you who your friends are going to be. It decides for you the books you're going to read. It decides for you how you're going to spend your time. It decides for you your hobbies and the games you play. It decides for you the path you're going to go in life. See, mindset is so connected to this. The reason I spent so much time on that is because when you understand that, now it will change your mindset of how you are approaching things, the books you read, the people you associate with, what you watch, what you listen to, all of those things will come into play. And then number 4 is discipline and accountability. Discipline and accountability. When you live a very purposeful life, you will be very disciplined. But if you're not, that's when we need the accountability. But here's what I know. Once you understand this, you won't need necessarily someone to hold you accountable because you will be disciplined enough to go do it. Now, that doesn't mean you don't need a coach. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you do need somebody to bounce ideas off of and somebody to occasionally say, are you still on track? There is a term in science called entropy. Entropy is the state of things winding down. That's a whole nother morning ascent that I could do. But here's the key. Life is winding down. Said another way, this world is becoming more chaotic over time. That's entropy. Entropy is going from order to chaos. Things break down. What happens is things continue to break down in nature. That's just science. That's how life goes. The same thing will happen with you and your plan and your schedule is over time, we tend to just get off schedule because of this thing called entropy. And as that happens, we need somebody to go, what are you doing? Get back on track. Get back to doing what you know you are supposed to be doing. That's the importance of the discipline and accountability. Then number 5 is the skill sets. Now, I was going to talk about those, but I'm not going to because for the sake of time, but skill sets, we have 12 skills that you need to be working on and becoming better at. And I talked about the setting appointments one, but as you know where you're headed, you will also now know what skills you need to be developing. What skills have you developed or will you need to develop? What is it that is holding you back? What's that one thing that if you could master that skill, it would help you? The same as what I was talking about Dennis Rodman. If you could fine tune with that skill, you decide what it is, what would that do for you? That's skill sets. And then number 6 is the systems, the tools, and the strategies. What systems, tools, and strategies? All right. Well, hopefully, guys, you've gotten something good out of what I had to share with you today. But make sure you are taking time to figure out that purpose and that vision. And the best way that you can do that is get out a clean sheet of paper and ask yourself, what is my purpose? And then just write whatever comes to your mind. Just write and write and write until you emotionally connect with something. Once you emotionally connect with something is when you can go, okay, that's it for me. And I'm telling you, it's typically going to be something very simple, and it's going to be something that gets you excited, that will get you out of bed in the morning, that has you say, I got to go do this. And I know what my purpose is. I know what I need to accomplish. And when you do that, that's how we seek to become a person of value. As you seek to become a person of value, the success will follow. See, you will automatically attract to you all of those things because of who you have become. That's why we talk so much about that in this company, is because if who you are as a person is not valuable, you have not created that to where people want to hear what you have to say. Until that happens, they don't want to hear from you and they won't pay for you. But when you develop that skill in your life that people will want you to perform it for them, they will then pay you. That's what this is about. All right. Well, thanks for being with me this morning. Hope you got something good out of it. Let's go ahead and wrap it up with our closing affirmations. and making an outstanding day today.